Hey guys, welcome to Digital Art Club. Do all of you guys have Photoshop CS6 open right now?
Yeah.
Okay, just get Photoshop open, and this is a recorded session, so if I go too fast, like, you guys can watch the video that I post. I'm gonna be going over as many tools as I can in half an hour. I only get half an hour, so I'm gonna try and shove in as much info as I can in half an hour. So yeah, do you guys have Photoshop open? So first thing, we're gonna go File and then New. So File, New, and then over here you can make your canvas. I usually go to the international paper, the US paper, and that's 8.5 inches, 11 inches, and resolution is 300. By default, it's 72. And 300 is usually for print, so if you draw some art that's really nice and you want to print it, make a poster, resolution is basically how many dots per inch of canvas you have, and 300 is good. You can see the file size is 21 megabytes. It's a pretty big file size, and when I go down to 72, it's just 1 megabyte. This is usually for digital work, if you want to put stuff on Facebook and not print it. But yeah, click OK and you guys will start a new canvas, and I'm gonna get you guys started on the interface right now. So first thing, you go to Window and you see Workspace over there. So Window, Workspace, and you click on Essential to default. Okay, and when you guys click that, you still won't have the navigator. You have to go to Window and click on Navigator right here, check mark it. Wait, let me just reset my workspace so I can. So yeah, you guys should have something that looks like this. You go to Navigator and you check mark it, and then you'll get this box that appears over here. But the Navigator is something you're going to be using really often, so you drag this entire box. You see it turns blue, and you move it onto this box right here. So I'm going to move this tab right in front. It's something we're going to be using really often. So you can zoom in, zoom out, or you can click that to zoom in, or that to zoom out. And you can navigate like that while you're painting. So it's really nice to have that there. The second thing I want to do is when people start over, they sometimes want to Control-Z, undo what they did, but you're capped at 40 by default, so we want to increase that cap for some of y'all. So you go to Preferences, so Edit, and then you go down to Preferences, and you go to General. Then we're going to go to Performance, and you see History States over there is 20, so you can press Control-Z 20 times, and if you want to increase that, if there ever comes a time where it could save your life. And you can also increase the memory usage over there. So in case Photoshop's laggy, or you can increase that. I'm gonna leave everything default and go back right here. That was press Control K. Control K will open that Performance, and then you see History States right there. It's 20. You can increase that if you want.
What would be a good number to do that?
It's personal preference. I'm happy with 20, but sometimes you want to Control-Z all the way, till you had so you can increase that. It will take a little bit extra memory, but not too much. It won't lag.
I have 1,000.
So
We'll go to that later. It's okay. We'll talk about it later.
okay. I'm going to introduce myself. Okay, my name's Aaron, and I'm an international student. I'm actually from India, and this is my third year in UIT. I'm here to study game development. I'm really passionate about game development and stuff. We're gonna come back here and I'll show you some cool tricks. But for now, you got that forest picture. I just want you guys to pull that onto your canvas. So when you guys can drag it from the desktop or any page like that, and you just bring it onto the canvas. You'll see a little plus sign there. And when you leave it, you should get that, and then you can scale up and you can press the little check marker over here. Wait, you can't see on the screen, but it's on the top right corner. You press that, and then you have it on the screen. When you guys open a new image or drag it onto the canvas, if you guys can't drag it on the canvas, you can go File, Place, and then you can find your image with the file thingy. But you'll have a little icon over here. What this means is your image cannot be edited. It's just you imported an image. You have to right-click and rasterize layer. That means it converts the file. That's just a preview of a file. It converts into pixels, so you can actually work with it. So you right-click on the layer, and you click rasterize.
I like that.
So when you click rasterize, you guys can edit this layer. You can draw on top of it. You can do all kinds of things. I'm not using this right now, so I'm just going to delete it. So everyone has a forest, right? Everyone has this picture right here, right? Okay. So first thing, we're going to go and we're going to select this layer, the forest layer, on the layer tab, and click Control J. That makes a clone of it. And it's really nice to have clones because like many times you're gonna want to go back, and it's like you're saving, but in case you don't like this layer, say I scribble on it, it's a mess right now, I don't like it, I can delete it and I have a backup. So Control J is the shortcut for it. You're gonna use it pretty often. So Control J. And right now I'm gonna teach you guys how to process this image and do cool things with it. And I'm trying to appeal to everyone here, including photographers, graphic designers. You don't need a tablet or anything to do this. So we're gonna go to that cloned layer. Control J is to clone it. So wait, I'm gonna show you guys again. Control J. So you see over there are two clones. I'm gonna go a clone layer. I'm gonna show you guys how to do some cool things. This applies to photographers, to painters, to anything. I'm gonna show you guys how to change the scene around. It looks like a typical summer scene in the forest. So we're gonna go to Image, Adjustments. You guys see that? And then you go Color Balance. Okay? So when you guys are in Color Balance, you see there's shadows, there's midtones, there's highlights. When you look at this picture, the picture that we have at the back, these would be the shadows, like over there. All these dark things would be shadows. This would be mids over here, and all that bright sunlight that you see there is highlights. So say you want a really nice yellow looking sun. I'm gonna switch to highlights over there, and I'm gonna increase that yellow. So you see there's like a lot of yellow in our scene right now. Maybe mixed with a little bit of red so it looks more warm. And you see that? It just changed the lighting of the scene. And the shadows, say maybe you want something that looks kind of gloomy, or I'm gonna go to shadows over there. You want something gloomy, it's something that looks cold, like a horror scene. You would add some cyan and some blue. So like I'm going to cyan there, and you see that looks like a little bit like a haunted forest over there. You see that?
Need a lot of blue.
Yeah, the color on the projector is not that great.
Oh, right.
So darken the heck out of that.
More blue.
Wow. That looks completely different.
How do you digital art without a proper screen?
Yeah.
Well, it's the projector. There's not much we can do about the projector.
So, okay.
If you follow his
Can I just look at your screen?
Yeah, see that?
Whoa.
It looks completely different on the screen. I'm sorry about that.
Hell.
Is there magic happening? You just uncheck the preview. Preview and like
Oh.
okay, so that's what it was before.
But you see how it changes to summer to like a... I increased the blue like way too much on this screen. It's like crazy. But it changes the entire feel of this scene over here. We can try playing around a little bit more. Like I'm gonna try increasing the green. I'm gonna try increase the green, make it look like some glowy mystical forest.
Sorry.
So I'm just playing around right now. I'm just experimenting, but you can see how like it changed the ambience of it. It kind of looks like a swamp right now. So this is what color balance does. You can play around with it. I made some presets, so you can tell like the lighting is clearly different in the two of them. This one has This one has a nice cold feel to it. This one feels, on my screen it looks different, but it has like a nice mist to it. This one over here. I'm gonna show you guys another thing. How to change this daytime scene that you have over here into a nighttime scene that looks like that. It's like daytime forest, nighttime forest. You can do that with the same image. So I'm gonna work on this clone that I have over here. So I'm gonna go to image, adjustments, and then you'll see exposure over there. You know how on a camera, like when you're in a really dimly lit room, you want to increase the exposure, and if you're in a really bright spot and you have like bright sunlight, you decrease the exposure so you don't get overexposed, you don't get like white patches all over your thing. So what we're gonna do under exposure, we're gonna try and make it look a little bit more dim so it looks like a nighttime scene. So first thing I'm gonna do, like this gamma right here, this increases the contrast of your screen, of your scene. You see that increased. We have too much black going on, so before I do that, I just want to show you guys the offset. The offset adds some white to your screen. Like see, it's just adding white there. So when you darken it, it's not going to get completely black. So right now I'm going to darken it, and you see things are not getting pitch black. It's because of the offset. So I can increase that. Now there's too much black. I can increase the offset just a little bit more. So you have some white. Okay. And I'm going to decrease the exposure just a little bit. And you see that sunlight that's in the top left corner starts to fade off. It adds like a layer of black to your entire piece. So if you guys want to get those settings onto your thingy. So right now you can clearly see when I check the preview and uncheck it, it's a bit darker. It looks like an evening time sunset sort of thing. Okay, I'm just gonna decrease the exposure a little bit more, and I'm good. Click OK. So it still looks like it's summertime. It still looks like the sun's up. We're gonna try and make it look like it's nighttime. So I'm gonna show you another thing. Color balance is a little bit complicated because you're playing with the shadows, the mids, the highlights. There's this thing called photo filter right here. It's kind of like your Instagram filters or whatever. It adds a layer of color to the entire scene. So it affects the shadows, the mids, the highlights, everything all at once. So I'm going to increase, like this is what you have right now. You have the color. You can choose manually. You can choose a color. But I'm going to go on these. You have a whole bunch of warming filters, cooling filters, red, orange. I'm going to increase the density a bit more, like around 72%, okay? So right now it looks warm. It looks like a sunset right now. I want it to look like a nighttime, so like blue colors. So I'm gonna go for a cooling filter right here. And you see when I go cooling filter, it looks like a nighttime scene. You can play with the different cooling filters. There's a bit of a variation, like as you can tell. I like this one. It looks kind of magical. So right now, if we compare the two images, daytime, nighttime, like we've literally changed the whole image over there. I'm gonna show you guys like something else over here. I don't use this often, but it's nice. If you want to make an Instagram filter sort of thing that you're gonna use on all your images, you would right next to Navigator, there's adjustments over here. And all the same controls that you saw me using, exposure, curves, all that stuff, everything's over here. So if I go to, for example, color balance, do you guys see this? So color balance, if I go over here, wait, let me start on the, let me go back to that and make a, I'll work off this, it's fine. So I'm going to go to color balance. And I'm gonna play around with this scene a little bit, so I get something that looks kind of different than what we had. The UI looks a little bit different. There's highlights over there. So
Is that blue?
so I'm just gonna play around so I get something different. But I want to show you guys why this thing is nice. It creates another layer that has your effect data on it. And what's nice about that is you can drag any image. So So I had like those images posted on the Facebook page. So if I drag that and I move that right under the new layer, enable it, you see it added that effect to your picture as well. So it's like a preset. You guys can have multiple things going on. You can have brightness and contrast. You can have you can have vibrance, and then this one you can increase saturation, and that makes color super vivid to black and white. So you can increase that, and you notice over here I've got 3 different layers of different things going on, and it's affecting all the layers underneath. So if I disable that, if I disable all that, you get your original images. So this is nice. It's reusable. You guys can take this entire bunch and like move it anywhere you want. But I'm gonna delete this for now. I'm just showing you guys this because it's cool, and I don't use it that often. So I'm gonna delete that right now. Sorry. So you press you hold Shift and you click there. Click all the layers you want to delete, and you click delete, the button on your keyboard, and that takes it out. I'm gonna delete this as well. Okay, so you guys get the idea of what the color balance does to your image, right? So like you guys can get all kinds of different things, and you can see how this helps your art. Whether you guys do a watercolor painting, a traditional piece, you guys can bring it onto your computer, play around with the colors, and get all sorts of different tones and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna move on from this. I'm gonna show you guys maybe some other effects under here. There's this thing called levels, and it looks complicated, but I'll explain what it does. It's really important. It's over here, like the same way we had the midtones, like this is midtones right here. This is shadows, this is highlights. You can see it's kind of color coded. This one's brighter, this one's middle, this one's dark. This one shows how much shadows you have in your scene. So if you have too much shadows, all of this is going to peak over here. If you have too little highlights, all of this is going to be like 0 kind of thing. You can tell over here we have like a white gap. That means we don't have like the perfect contrast. We don't have like black. Sometimes people tend to prefer that. But if you want it to get completely black, you increase that to wherever this line meets. And then you get that. If I increase it all the way, it's going to start eating up your painting and adding too much black onto it. It's going to start eating it up. And it's the same for the opposite. When you increase that, that's going to start overexposing. And you see this on a camera sometimes. On a bright sunny day, you go outside, you click a picture, there's too much sunlight, and it overexposes your images like that. The best thing to use if you don't want to lose any data is to use the middle, because that just shifts the entire spectrum left or right. It doesn't eat away your painting. This thing right here, you can add a layer of black on your entire scene. You can dim it down, and you can add a layer of white to your entire scene. You can make things look pastel-y. So does this make sense to everyone? And if anyone has questions, feel free to ask. I'll keep going from tool to tool. So vibrance over here, I showed you guys what it is. When you click on vibrance, what vibrance does, if there's anything that is unsaturated or doesn't have that much color, it adds color to those pixels only. So you see over there, it added a whole bunch, like you see there's some grayscales over here. Not grayscale, but it's a little bit like dim. So when you increase that, that adds a layer of color to your entire scene. Saturation takes what's already existing and increases the vibrance of that. So I'm going to increase that, and you can see, like you got a whole bunch of color. You got black and white, you got color. That can add vibrance to your paintings. Now, image adjustments. Let's see what else I can show you guys from here. So I'll show you guys this over here. It's called gradient map. Some people paint in black and white initially, and they add color later. I don't do that. I like to see the colors I'm painting with. But I'll show you what gradient map does over here. That looks crazy, I know. So there's a gradient. If I click on that, it gives me a gradient. So these, the same concept, shadows, middle, highlights. So say you want yellow highlights, okay? You want something bright, like sunny, that looks something like that. You want your midground to look, if I click over here, like see this, I can click over here and you get another color that you can add. You can add several colors like that. So I'm adding like a middle color over here, and say I want some green. I want something that looks green. You can see in the background you have your yellows affecting the highlights, you have your greens affecting the middle, and you have your shadows over here. I'll move it to something like a cold, dark blue color maybe. So you have something like that. And then you can increase that the same way we were playing with the levels. You can increase and decrease that. So if you paint in black and white and you want some colors to start with, this is a nice way to add colors to your black and white. Because black and white images are affected the same way. So yeah, I'm gonna go back to that. I'll see what other tools I can teach you guys. These are really helpful sometimes, and sometimes they don't give you what you want, but they neutralize all the colors. Like there's a little bit too much cold going on over here. If I click on auto color, it's gonna fix that. It looks like the summer scene again. It's neutralized. It took away the color that I had going on. Auto contrast. You saw that little on the levels. There was a little gap of white space that we fixed. This auto contrast automatically fixed it up for us. And this one is auto tone. That fixes your color tone if you have any problems with it. So yeah, those are helpful. What other thing can I show you guys? Okay, this variations thing, it's under adjustments again. It's called variations. You see that there? So click on that. And this is literally the same thing we did with color balance, but it's a much nicer interface. You have your original image right here, and you have a bunch of previews, which is nice. If you're a visual person and you don't want to play with all those slider bars, you can go over here and you can play with the image based on visuals. You've got shadows again, you've got midtones again, you've got highlights again, and you've got saturation as well. So if I go to midtones, say I look at all these images over here and I find this one appealing. I can click on it. Now this becomes my current image. And then if I like more yellow, I can click on that. And that becomes my current image. And I can keep doing this till I get the image that I like. On the side you have lighter, darker. So say I want it a little bit lighter. I can click on that and that makes it my current image again. I can go saturation. If I want it to look more colorful, I can click more saturation and that becomes my current image. You'll see a bunch of things over there. Don't worry about that. When you click OK, it's going to vanish. It's just your previews look a little bit wonky. But yeah, say I like this image, I click OK, and you see there, like it changed the whole layer. It changed all the colors of the layer to look like that. That's a much nicer user interface. So it's under adjustments, variations over there. So that made sense to everyone? There's also shadows and highlights. You can increase it's eating away at the shadows. So if you have too much shadows in your scene, you want something that looks really like a bright, colorful anime or something, you can increase the amount of like black. Decrease the amount of black. And then this is the highlights over there. It's the same concept as levels and everything, but it's just all the tools you need at one place. So black and white. I'm gonna show you this specific black and white because there's something cool about this specific black and white. I'm gonna click on it, and you see I have a whole bunch of different. Wait, let me go back to the original because yeah, this is the original. Like I said before, like all these highlights are yellow, and you see all the shadows. All these shadows over here are like dark green, blue. So when I go to image adjustments and I go to black and white, I can increase the value of the individual color. So say that sunlight, that yellow sunlight over there, say I want to increase it, make it brighter, I can just increase the yellow over there, and you see how now you've got some bright sunlight over there. Say you want more shadows, and the shadows are green if you remember from the image. So I can decrease the amount of greens, And you see that's adding a layer of contrast. So this is really nice. I'll show you one more thing. It's cool. I'm gonna click OK. And say I want to add this contrast value to this image. I want like this sort of brightness that I have going on in this black and white onto this. I'm gonna drag this layer over this, and there are a whole bunch of different things. The best way to learn this is to play around with it. It may look complicated, but you're gonna use a lot of these later, and it'll give you some really cool effects. So if you want this same value onto this painting right here, this picture right here, I'm gonna change from normal to luminosity. And what this means, it affects the how bright a color is or how dim a color is. You'll see what it does when I click it. So you can see over here how the sunlight has changed. I've added a layer of sunlight from the black and white onto the colored piece over there. So that's pretty cool. Like, you can play with black and white images, and then you can throw that same color value onto your piece. So let's do something a little fun. I don't know if you guys can like draw a man or a stick figure or something on your screen. I just got this. I just want to show you guys how to fix these problems. Like, say you draw on paper and you have like this man that's got like a lopsided whatever. I'll show you guys how to fix that. Photoshop's really cool. You can do so much on it. I won't spend too much time on this. So if you guys don't have this picture, it's okay. Go to Filter, and you see Liquify over here. What? Okay. So right now you're on this little finger thing over there, and we're gonna get an appropriate brush size. I'm happy with this one over here. Wait, I'll go to like 100, and I'll show you what you guys can do with this. I can literally catch that and move it up, and I can catch that. I can move it down. So now it's equal. And like, he's got a really weird triangular neck, and you want to fix the anatomy, you can move the neck down and give him some shoulders.
Give him muscles.
Give him muscles? Okay. Yeah. And then you can move that head down, fix his mouth. You can play with that till you get nice looking anatomy. Give some nice looking hips. Yeah. So he's fixed now. Click OK. This thing over here makes things tiny. Like, it like sucks it in. It's like a vacuum cleaner. So you see what does his face. And this one, it bloats. So say we want some bigger, like. So okay, he looks perfect now. We click OK, and as you can tell, we really fixed his body. So that's something cool. Like, you guys can do that for people's faces. This is how I learned Photoshop. I would get pictures of family members, throw them there, like stretch their eyeballs and cheeks and whatever. That's how I learned Photoshop. So press Control T on any layer you have, like the image or whatever, and it's gonna bring up this thing over here, these handles. You can increase the size of things, decrease the size of things. You can, if you move off the edge, you get this, which means rotate, so you can rotate. You can, yeah, don't forget to hold shift, or else you'll get that, or like that. So when you hold shift, it's going to keep things in ratio, so you're scaling nicely. And you can increase that, decrease that. When you're on this little slider bar thingy, sorry, on this transform, it's called transform, you right click and you click on warp. It's Control T, the shortcut for it. You click on warp over here. And what that's going to give you, that's going to give you a similar thing like what we were playing with, but you can play with these little sliders and you can fix things. What this is nice for is, say you have like a grass texture and you want to throw it on a ball. When you throw it on a ball, it's gonna look really flat. So you can go and you can play with the grass until you get get it to look circular, like that. And then when you throw it on a ball, you're gonna see the grass is big in the front and it smoothens out nicely. If you have a cape or something, you want to fix the cape, like you can play with these. You can play with these slider bars, and you can get some cool stuff. So Control Z is to undo your changes. But when you click Control Z several times, you notice it's just going back and forth, back and forth. If you want to keep going back, you do Alt Control Z. And I'm gonna press Alt Control Z. Like I'm still holding Alt Control, and I'm pressing Z. And now if you let go of Alt, your finger's still on the control. If you let go of that and you press Control Z, you're gonna go back and forth between this and the most recent one that you had. So you have this and this. This is really nice for comparing stuff. So say you do a lot of changes. I'm gonna click Filter Liquify again. That's gonna do the same thing.
Oh, be careful.
Okay. So I'm gonna press Alt Control Z, Alt Control Z, Alt Control Z, and I'm gonna compare it. So Control Z, Control Z. My finger is still on the control at all times. So this is nice for comparing. So say you make some changes to your painting, you want to go back to see what it looked like. You can just Alt Control Z, Z, Z again, and then you can just press Control Z and they'll go back and forth. So I like this man over here. This is my favorite. So we're gonna go on to the next thing. Let's play around with this. I had some pictures over here. I had some pictures here. Sorry, if anyone missed this, it was like my about me pictures. So I'm just gonna add some blemishes on this face over here. So I'm gonna add some stuff here. Okay, this is gonna help when you're doing art as well. So I added some stuff. There's this brush over here. It's not a brush, it's like a band-aid that you see there. When you click and hold, you get multiple different things. So it has to be on Spot Healing Brush Tool. So this one, what it does is you have a circle. I'm going to decrease the size of that. It samples colors from around the brush and fixes whatever mistakes you have. It can be a drawing, it can be a painting. So if I click there, you see it's doing that black thing. It's like magic. Say I don't like this pupil, maybe. Take it out. I don't like that little glow. I can take it out. Automatically sample stuff from around your canvas. I'm gonna go back to the navigator. Like I can fix these stars over here. Like just take them out. If you want more control over this, then you go to Healing Brush Tool. And you press the Alt key to sample from where you want the healing, like where do you want to, like you can sample out something and then you can go over here. And you see there's a little plus sign, it's sampling off from there. So it's fixing from that area. I can sample off like one eye to fix another eye, for example, and that looked weird. But I'll show you another thing over here. Do you see this little stamp? I'm gonna go back to that forest that I had. Just give me a moment. Okay, I'm back on that forest that we were playing around with. Say you want it to look more natural. You don't like these roads over here. You want to get rid of the roads. What you can do is when you're on this stamp tool over here, I'm gonna decrease the brush size just a little bit. And I'm gonna sample off some grass from here. So press the Alt key and you'll get that little crosshair. And you click it. And then you move it there and you notice like a piece is following you. You can click here and it's gonna start, wait, I'm on the wrong layer. Okay, make sure you're on the right layer. So I'm gonna sample off that grass and I'm going there onto the road and I'm gonna click and use my mouse to paint. And notice the crosshair, whatever the crosshair is pointing at, it's dropping that onto our brush position. So you can keep going there and you can keep adding grass till you get rid of all of that. So I'm sampling, clicking Alt, I'm sampling around these, yeah. So literally getting rid of that grass, that looks a little strange. say like you like this tree portion and you want to move it there, like you can click Alt over here, and like you can like paint away. What this is nice for is, say you have some, like you painted some really detailed grass and you don't want to go back and like paint it all over again. Like say you painted these trees and you don't want to paint the leaves again. You can just like catch a sample from somewhere there, and you can oops, that doesn't look right. But like you can catch that detailed spot over there and like move it somewhere there, kind of thing. It looks a little off because of the color differences. It's clearly warm over here and cold over here. But yeah, say if I like this gap over here, like this little piece, I can move that over there. So that sort of thing. That's what the clone stamp does. There's so many applications for this tool. Right now, I'm going to show you guys, if some of y'all like to work traditionally and you want to bring your stuff onto Photoshop, clean it up, all that kind of stuff, I'm going to show you guys how I do it. Say this man over here. There's a lot of white around him that I want to get rid of. I can click, I'm just going to click this tool over here, and that lets you move around the guy. There's auto select, which gets really annoying when you have multiple layers, so that's turned off for me. If you have too many things and you can't find out which layer it's on, check on auto select and you can select a layer. So I'm gonna keep that off for now because I like it manual, and I'm gonna go to this lovely magic wand that you see there. Sorry, there's yeah. If you guys don't have this, click and hold, and you're gonna see on the 4th tab, you're going to see Magic Wand. There's a tolerance over here. It's set to 15. You can increase that to like 20. So say like this thing wasn't so clean and white. It was like it had a bunch of spots. You can increase the tolerance and that will select more of it. So I'm just going to click the Magic Wand on this white and click delete. And it's gone. Did that make sense? So I'm on like 20 there. Click Magic Wand, and you see it selected all the white. You can also hold shift while you have the selection over there, and that will bring a little plus sign. You see that little plus sign over there? You can add more gaps, and you can take away gaps by hitting the Alt key, and that turns into a minus sign. So if I click delete, I have like a clean man. Okay, right now I'm gonna go to some sketches that I did on paper, and you see these little icons over here. It's because I dragged and dropped down to Photoshop. I cannot mess around with this layer. If I try to paint on it, it's gonna tell me this. That must be rasterized. So it's just displaying the file, but it isn't actually like pixels yet. So you right click on it and you do rasterize, and that icon goes. So right now, to show you guys, make sure you scan it and don't click a picture of it, because pictures are much more difficult to clean. It's definitely possible. So I'm gonna go back to this magic wand over here, and notice how, like, I shouldn't have used lined paper for this, but I was drawing in class. So you can hold shift and you can like select, you can select multiple things over there, and then you can click delete. It's gonna, oh no. You click delete and notice how like stuff's going away, right? If you didn't have the lines, it would be so easy to clean. I'm gonna bring this back here. You can increase the tolerance. Say like some of these edges are not getting selected and you have a lot of smudginess going on, you can increase that to like 30 or something like that. Another thing is like this eraser tool over here. You click and hold. If you're an eraser, you click and hold and you go to magic eraser. And that's basically the same thing. It's set to 32. I just click away like that. So you can clean up lines like super easily.
It's like the opposite of the paint tool.
So like you can just go ahead and like do that stuff. You might have to, because the lines are there, you might have to go and like, I'll show you an application of this clone stamp over here. I'll decrease the size of it and I'll click Alt over here and I'll use that same pixels to clean up the lines over there. say I want some more eyes, like I want some more eyes somewhere else, I can sample off the eyes and I can paint some more eyes somewhere else, kind of thing. You see that? That's the application of the clone stamp. You have like the same magic wand thing. If you want more control over it, there's this little lasso tool. You click over here, it's called lasso. You click there and you can, it's like drawing, but you're drawing around the lines like that. And you're selecting all of this junk that you have over there. And I'm going back to the beginning. I'm gonna let go of the mouse and it selects all of that, and I can click delete. If you don't have a steady hand, then you can you click over here and you click this tool right here. Okay? If you have this little dotted line and you want deselected, it's Control D. That deselects the thing. So this tool right here, if you don't have a steady hand, you can click. Oh, I clicked. If you double click, it joins the loop. So you can keep clicking until you've selected like the area that you want to delete, and then you double click and then it joins it, and then you click delete, press Control D. So that's how you clean up your work, and then like you'll get something that looks like that. So from that you change it into something that looks more presentable. If it was left white in color, you could also go ahead and color on Photoshop on top of it. That's something I can't cover right now because I get like half an hour. I'm kind of past my time, I think. Yeah, I am. So you can color stuff. So like I like this little dragon thing over there, so I decided to color it, and I did that. And the same color balance thing that I taught you guys, I painted this one over here, but I made a little variation just by playing with color balances. So show you guys again, I'm gonna use this tool to select, or wait, double click, and I can use a square, so I just select that. So if I want this to look a little different, I can go image, adjustments. Wait, this thing's not rasterized, so it doesn't let me edit it. So I right click, rasterize. Now I can play around with it. So you go to image, adjustments, color balance, and now I can do crazy stuff with it. I wish the background wasn't there because it's affecting the background as well. But you can play around with the colors and like try and get different things. Also, there's image, adjustments, and there's hue and saturation. And if you play with the hue, see what that does. You get like a little rainbow color thing going on. So if you like this green monster, you can use this one. Or if you like this pink green guy, you can use this. So by playing around with that, you're shifting the entire color spectrum through the whole rainbow thing over here. You can saturate things, you can desaturate things. So that's what that does. And yeah. The reason why I wanted you guys to save some images, like color palettes and stuff, I think my Photoshop's stuck. Okay, it's fine. So I asked you guys to save some images, and the reason why is this is how I learned to paint, how I learned digital painting. So I have a bunch of images over here, and I really like the color palette of these paintings over here. So say I go, say I'm on this painting. I like the color palette. Maybe it's a little too icy and cold for me. I can go make sure the layer is selected. Can go to image, play around with the color balances till I get something I like. I'll add some yellows so it looks more green. Add some reds so it looks kind of like oil paint. You know, it's got that vintage kind of like look to it. So I'm happy with this color palette. What I used to do is I used to sample out pieces off the painting, like this little ice spot, this little piece over here. See, I'll just select this for now, just this. And I'm gonna right click and layer wire copy, and that makes another layer that's only this piece. It made a copy of that section. It's because I'm on this little box selection tool over here. So I selected it, I right click, and I make a copy of it. You can also cut it out of your piece. and you can also invert the selection, so it selects everything but that piece. So now I have this thing over here. Just a few. It's like choosing colors before you start like an oil painting or something. You pick colors that you like. It's the same thing. You can play with the sample. Like I want it a little bit more vivid, so I'm gonna increase that just a little bit. So I'm happy with these colors, and I'm gonna show you guys the last 5-10 minutes. I'm just gonna show you guys some painting. What you do need to paint is one of these. It's a tablet, but it doesn't have a screen on it. It comes with a pen, and it works the same way like you would draw on paper. When you press hard, you get thick lines. When you press lightly, you can shade. They're kind of like, they're a little bit pricey, but it's like having unlimited paint. You never run out. You're always like, you never have to pick colors, and that's fun. I like traditional painting, but it's nice. It's like having an unlimited canvas. So I'm gonna go to this brush tool over here. For those of you who have tablets already, this to get you guys a little head start, to get you people painting. So I can choose the size of my brush over here. I'm gonna go down. There are a whole bunch of different brushes over here. You can add more brushes that you don't have over here. There's some packs that are included. You can download packs off the internet as well. You can watch a YouTube video on how to do that. But when I click this little gear, it shows me I have basic brushes. I have like a whole bunch of different brushes over here. So you can add like dry brushes or wet media brushes. Wet media is kind of like watercolors and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna pick this brush over here, okay? And I'll show you what this and this does. If you're digital painting, these two are the most important things. If you're using a mouse, these are not gonna work because it works on the pressure levels of the pen. So when I have this selected right now, I'm gonna pick any color just to show you. I'll pick white. So I can paint over here, and you notice if I press lightly, it like decreases the size, and if I press hard, I get like thick lines like that. You notice it? So like it's giving me that, and see the brush, how it looks like it's an actual paintbrush. It's because of those. I showed you all of these. Each brush is optimized to look a certain way. So that's what that does. And this little globe over here, if I uncheck this, I'm gonna Control Z so I get rid of all this. This thing over here, it affects the opacity based on pressure. So if you press hard, you're gonna get white lines. If you press lightly, you're gonna get gray. So you can press hard, you can press lightly. Press hard, lightly. So that's what that does. You can use both of them at the same time, so you get like shading, that sort of thing. See it? So you can also play around with the settings of the brush by clicking that, but it's kind of overwhelming looking at it, and I'm not going to go through it right now because I don't have time. But the Alt key, while you're on the brush, when you press the Alt key, it brings up the color dropper. So I'm going to go, and I'm going to pick this color, for example. I'm going to click it and let go of the Alt key. And notice how over there, the color changed. If I click over here and let go, notice how the color changed over there. You can have up to 2 colors by clicking this little arrow thing, so you can swap between the two. So if I pick a color now, I have that green and I have the blue. And I'm just going to paint, I'm just going to extend this image. I'm going to pick a color from here that I like, and I'm going to start painting. You have to do this, it has to become a habit. Like it's going to be difficult initially. It has to become a habit, so you're constantly dipping your brush in paint. That's what it's like. So I'll pick a color, and I'm going to drop it off here. I'm going to pick this color, and I'm going to drop it off somewhere here. So I'm just extending this painting is basically what I'm doing. I'm doing it really quickly. It's become a habit. The Alt key is the most important thing when you're painting. I can't stress how difficult it is to keep going to dropper, picking up a dropper, going back to brush. So you just like click, you do that. So I'm just going to paint really quickly, and I'm going to extend this painting. So notice how I'm just picking colors like I would dip my paintbrush in paint, and I'm adding them somewhere else. I like this color, I can drop it here. If I like this color, I can drop it there. I can shade that little mountain. If I want like a little mountain thing in the background, I can add that. So I'm just extending that. This is good practice. It teaches you how to render, and you just sample off the image. So I have like a little cliff over here. It's gonna be difficult using a mouse to do this, but it's definitely possible. But you won't get the same pressure levels that you see over there, like when I press hard. So you can imagine whatever you want, and just like say I want another island over there. I'm gonna draw mountaintops, and later I'm gonna decrease the brush size. I'm gonna work on the details, so I can add some trees over here. Well, it's nice using another brush for a detail, something a little bit more precise. Like, I'll pick that and I'll decrease the size of it so it's small, and make sure that's selected so you can work on trees like that. You can add a little bit more detail to that. For example, you can make it look more like a mountain, clean it up a little bit. So I'm adding, you can add clouds. For clouds, I would suggest turning this off and leaving this on. So you don't have pressure levels, but you're just working on opacity. So you're trying to you're just trying to play with it. Just lightly adding clouds to the scene, like that. So notice how I'm constantly picking up colors. It's like dipping your brush in paint. It has to become a habit, so you're just dipping, you're picking up, and you can clean all of this. Enable that again, because I want really precise thing. So yeah, I'm cleaning it up. You can add some blue over here, you can add water here. But that's just a rough tutorial to get you guys started. By the end of it, like, this doesn't even have to be there. Like the thing that you started with. If you want like a dragon or something, like, you can just go ahead and just add a dragon here.
Oh God.
Oh.
Okay, so let me just text Ron now. It's like a giant chicken though. It doesn't have wings.
Just, and like I'll pick another color, and I'm adding like a lighter tone to this so it stands out.
Oh.
And I can have it like, if you want a little bit orange, like I'll add another color to the scene, and I can add like a little fire, have like a town on fire burning.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Awesome. This is
Well, then now the trees are on fire.
Let's draw a stick man here. Well, no.
Oh my god.
very big stick man.
So you can have like multiple dragons, one flying over here.
Oh my god.
I've blown fire. So you notice how like we started off from a sample of colors that you liked, and you've just gone our own direction from there.
Completely.
Really.
Add more island pieces, and that's how you keep painting. And typically I tend to spend like around 10 hours on a painting. That's like that's how long I spend. So I can't show you so much in 10 minutes. If you really want to polish something down, you can spend some hours on it. And okay, I can show that. So we're basically done with this, but we go back to these over here, and this is what it's good for. It's like when you finish your piece and you want to play around with the final look and feel of the thing. I've got some nicer looking purples over here. You can play around with the final look of your piece. That's why I showed you guys all of this stuff over here, because post-processing can change your picture from looking dull and lifeless to really, really bright and lovely.